Hello learners, my name is Mr. Pochilola once again. Welcome to Form 3 Chemistry, which is the Msce Chemistry. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at the very topic number 1, the very first topic at Msce, the topic called experimental techniques. Experimental techniques is the first topic in the chemistry at Msce. In a special way, let me continue to wish the current Msce candidates, as they continue to write their exams, it is my wish, it is my heart's desire that you make it in all subjects, you do well. It would please me most to have you get distinctions in the sciences. Sciences are a gateway to success in life. Although it does not guarantee it, but it's a gateway to success in life. You have entry into the university, continue to do science-related programs, and succeed in life. That's my wish. So I'll continue to wish you well, and do all you can, do your best to do extremely well in the sciences, as well as in the other subjects, but I'm most particularly interested in the sciences, much as it is important for you to do well in all subjects so that you have a beautiful certificate which will take you far. Welcome once again. The first topic in the Msce chemistry is experimental techniques, and we are going to be looking at a subtopic called chemical waste. So your exams, your syllabus requires you to be able to define a chemical waste. What is a chemical waste? So in chemistry, we shall limit the meaning of a chemical waste to a product. The product or any unwanted material from a chemical reaction. Okay, so a chemical waste is a product. Definition of a chemical waste: it's a product or unwanted material, that which is not needed from a chemical waste or a chemical reaction. It can also be, the term chemical waste can also be used to refer to an expired product which is no longer needed for any experiment in the next activity. That's a chemical waste. Okay, so it can be a product from a chemical reaction. Chemical reactions, you do remember that they form products. Okay? In a chemical reaction, you have reactants, which form products. So the product of any chemical reaction can be considered to be a chemical waste. Okay, for example, if you react sodium metal with water, the product is sodium hydroxide and the hydrogen gas. Right? Hydrogen gas is mostly released into air, but you'll be left with sodium hydroxide in your reaction vessel, let's say in a beaker or test tube or any other conical flask or anything. Right, so this in most cases you may not need in the next chemical reaction unless it is specified by the procedure, but in most cases it is geared to be thrown away. So sodium hydroxide in this case is considered to be a chemical waste. Okay, so think about any other chemical reaction that you carry out in the lab. The product that is generated is considered to be a chemical waste and is supposed to be thrown away or disposed of. Some chemicals which might not be used for a long time, they end up becoming expired. So expired chemicals, expired products belong to chemical waste. Okay. So in most cases, expired chemicals may not produce positive results when used in any chemical reaction, so they need to be disposed of. Okay, so make sure you know the definition of a chemical waste fully well, because a question can come to simply ask you to define a chemical waste. Define a chemical waste. 1 mark. So a chemical waste is simply an unwanted material. It is a product from a chemical reaction. It is an expired product which is no longer needed in an experiment or in any activity that is to come. So limit the definition to what we've discussed here. It's a product or unwanted material from a chemical reaction or an expired product which is no longer needed for any experiment in the next activity. Okay, I hope we're together there. Right. So, what are the examples of chemical waste? Right. Examples of chemical waste include, but not limited to, the following. Chemical waste can be unused chemicals, or examples of waste products from chemical reactions can be unused chemicals such as acids, alkalis, or solid chemicals. Examples of acids include hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, carbonic acid, and any other acids which may not be useful or used for a long time. They are considered to be chemical waste. Right, so these are examples of acids in case you're wondering what the examples could be. Alkalis. Examples of alkalis. Remember, an alkali is a base which is soluble in water. Examples include sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide. All these can be considered to be waste if they are unused for some time, because they become a danger. If kept for a long time, they become a danger. So they should be treated as waste, which are geared for disposal. Aluminium hydroxide. All these are examples of alkalis. They are bases which are soluble in water. Ammonia. All these are alkalis. They are examples of alkalis, and they are considered to be waste products. Solid chemicals such as copper sulfate crystals, even salt, salt such as the sodium chloride and any other weights, they belong to chemical weights. So you as science students, chemistry students, must learn efficiently how you can get rid of them, like dispose them off, because that's what we are going to look at next. Safe ways of disposing these wastes. All right. By safe ways, we mean ways that are not harmful to you, the student, the teacher, that also are not harmful to the environment. All right. So these are examples of waste products from chemical reactions, but also you can have weights that are generated from broken glassware. Let's say that you maybe accidentally you broke a test tube by accident, right? So broken test tube can be considered to be a waste, or broken thermometer. Sometimes you can break a thermometer by accident. Okay, so a thermometer can be broken down into pieces. All right, can be broken down into pieces. So these are also wastes which need to be cleared from the laboratory scene. Well, sometimes it can be plastic papers. Let's say maybe you broke off a package of a product from the shop, right? So the plastic containers that you came with some products are considered to be waste. Papers, sometimes even the rubbers, say rubber tubings, including poisonous gases. Some reactions produce poisonous gases. Examples of poisonous gases include carbon monoxide, for example, oxides of nitrogen, such as nitrogen dioxide, and others. So all these are examples of wastes in the labs. They ask you to state any 2 examples of waste in the laboratory in a chemical reaction. Okay, so you mention these things. Okay, that's very, very important. So there is need, if a product qualifies to be any of these, there is need to devise ways of disposing them. There is need to devise means and ways of disposing them. Disposing. To dispose something simply means to collect. So the waste needs to be correct and throw them away. That's the meaning of dispose. So you identify the waste, classify them properly, and throw them away. That process is called disposing. So unless this is done in a safe way, it is going to be a hazard to you, the learner, the student, or the teacher that works in it, the lab technicians, and of course, not forgetting the beautiful environment of your school. So we need to devise means of disposing waste. So there are many ways of disposing waste, chemical waste. One of them is use of waste bins. So for some waste, just need a bin. A bin is just a container which is designated, carefully designated in your lab, strategically placed in your lab. Usually it has a lid, right? So you throw your waste into it until it is filled up. So once the bin gets filled up, then you can take it to a place where they are either burnt or incinerated or buried. So this is a bin, a waste bin, which is strategically placed in your lab, maybe at the corner of your laboratory room, or sometimes maybe just immediately outside the laboratory. There's a bin where wastes are thrown into. Okay, so this way can be used for waste such as non-recyclable waste that cannot be recycled, pieces of wood, rubber, and sometimes maybe dirty papers, for example, waste papers. Yeah, like tissue paper, or that's the papers you use to wipe your benches as you work or as you do experiments or practical work. So these can be thrown into the bin and finally taken to a place where they are either burnt, buried, or otherwise. Okay, and notice that the use of waste bins is done for materials that are harmless, right? That are also not corrosive, not highly reactive, all right? So these materials can be disposed of using the use of dust bins or waste bins. Right? Another way is to use special controlled waste containers. Special controlled waste containers can also be used to dispose of waste. The use of special controlled waste containers. And use these to dispose waste such as sharp objects, objects such as broken glass, scalpels, sample tubes, and items contaminated with hazardous chemicals. So these must be emptied regularly and not allowed to overflow. Okay, so you have something like a container again, more or less like the bin, the waste bin, but this is special for hazardous substances. All right, so let's say that maybe you broke a glassware such as beaker. Usually you end up forming sharp glass objects. So these should be disposed of or thrown into a special controlled waste container. All right, scalpels, these are like razor blades, needles, all right, or materials that are contaminated with chemicals, and they would pose a danger if they are not properly disposed. These are to be placed in special controlled waste containers. And you don't have to wait until the containers are full. From time to time or regularly, these waste should be taken to a place where they are either buried or damaged in a safe way. Okay, the next safe way of disposing waste is to use to drain the waste using a lot of water. So draining means that this makes use of water sinks which are strategically placed in your lab. All right, so just drain this into the sinks of your lab. So waste which can be drained include the soluble inorganic salts. All right, soluble inorganic salts. Examples of soluble inorganic salts include sodium chloride, sodium chloride salt, magnesium chloride, and other salts. Okay. So as you drain this into the water sinks, you need also to dilute them by adding a lot of water. So you let this run into the water sinks and then drain into the water waste system with a lot of water. Contaminated and used acids such as HCl, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, and the other acids, but remember they should be drained with plenty of water. Otherwise, you remember that acids and alkalis in most cases corrosive, meaning they destroy metals that they get in contact with. Okay, so there is need to drain them before, rather to dilute them with a lot of water as they are being drained into this water sinks. All right. Another way of disposing waste is called recycling. Okay. Remember, Recycling means converting the waste into something that can be used again. Recycling. So this involves converting waste into something, into useful products, or you can say into useful products. That's the meaning of recycling. So okay, so you can recycle the waste so that they can be turned into something that is going to be used again. An example of such waste are broken glass. Example, you can convert broken glass using heat. You can use what is called glass blowing to reshape glass into something else. Let's say you broke a measuring cylinder. So the sharp end, let's suppose this is a measuring cylinder that has been broken. All right, so this is a measuring cylinder, broken measuring cylinder. Okay, so you can even off this part using heat to form something, maybe a container that can be used later on. We can just cut off this part using proper cutting materials and have something that can be used as a container, like a beaker. So a measuring cylinder becoming a beaker or something. All right. Cartons, maybe you can reshape cartons which are torn. You can reshape them, cut them nicely, use sellotape to produce something that can be used again. Recycling. All right. Another way to dispose of waste includes is what is called incineration. Incineration is simply the use of heat to burn something, to burn a material. So in this case, waste are put into a chamber which is called an incinerator. Okay, you find incinerators in hospitals and in some industries. Okay, so waste that can be incinerated include, but not limited to, syringes, needles, organic solvents, soluble organic waste, paraffin, and the mineral oils. These can be burnt, but you need to do so very carefully because most of them are combustible or flammable. So they can lead into some dangerous fires if not properly handled. All right, so in this first lesson, we have looked at waste in general and the chemical waste and how we can dispose them. All right, so we've looked at the definition of waste and type examples of waste and how to dispose of waste in a safe way. All right, so when we meet again in the next lesson, in Form 3 Chemistry, we are going to look at designing a scientific investigation, the steps involved. Okay, so for now, let me go. Wishing you all the best. If you are writing Msce this year, wishing you all the best. If you are just entering Form 3, I wish you all the best again. If you are a home scholar, this is your place to come and learn for free. But in case you want special help, you want notes, the other supplementary materials, don't hesitate to contact me on this number. I'll be glad to assist you in any way possible. My name is Mr. Pochilola once again, wishing you all the best. Bye-bye for now.